We've been at this story, this ever-developing story, for over a week now, where we've had just non-stop bad news for Rooster Teeth. It's to the point where even I am surprised that there are so many developments in such a short amount of time. You see, when 2019 started, there was the release of Genlock, and RWBY Volume 6 was coming to a close. It seemed like things were looking pretty bright for Rooster Teeth, and even though RWBY had its problems and people could argue that it was rushed, they had their brand new show coming out, and a bright horizon to look forward to. Then they decided to fire Vic Mignogna. That was the start of it. Then Ezra Cooperstein steps down. Gray Haddock has some weird stuff going on. You have these crunch time allegations with animators, stuff that we've already talked about. Just a quick recap. Price increases on first membership. Tons of backlash from their own community, from people who have supported Rooster Teeth for years and years and years. They are even voicing their criticism for the company now. And these are some of the most loyal people that have supported Rooster Teeth for literally years. I've seen posts from people who have supported Rooster Teeth for 9 years saying, not any longer. They've had enough of it. They aren't getting the mileage for their buck, and now they're getting asked to pay even more, sometimes 60% or greater increases. And for what? For what? They don't think that they're being appreciated. That's how they feel, and some of them are leaving because of that. On top of that, we just had 3 moderators walk away from RWBY, and now Rooster Teeth, their YouTube channel, is literally just giving away subscribers. People are just unsubbing by the second almost, it looks like. So that's what we're talking about in this video. I know you guys have probably heard all that already, but just keep in mind there are new people getting into the situation on a daily basis. So it's important that we recap them, even if we do it really briefly. And on the note of recapping, if you didn't see my video yesterday, you're probably wondering what the Band-Aid's about. Tiny little cut, not a big deal. I just have only one size Band-Aid, and I only have one Band-Aid left, and haven't gone to the store yet. Anyways, let's get into the video. So someone sent me this information about the social blade for Rooster Teeth, and I have to be honest, I overlooked this. I overlooked this data. I've looked all over for news on Rooster Teeth, all over social media, including Reddit and various subreddits, including other sites like Twitter, including sites like Rooster Teeth's site, their forums, all over. But one place I really didn't actually consider looking was Social Blade. So thank you for sending this information to me today on Twitter. I appreciate that. So let's take a look. You have the date, subscribers, video views, estimated earnings. Now, the estimated earnings for Social Blade is such a ballpark estimate. It's pretty much irrelevant, but we're going to focus on subscribers. Now, when you go to Social Blade, you never want to see red. You never want to see red on there because it means negative. It means you're losing. Now, what's worse than red is literally days and weeks of red. Or in Rooster Teeth's case, according to Social Blade, they have been losing subscribers pretty much every day for a month. You see a few green in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So out of 4 weeks, they've had a total of a week where they've gained subscribers, and 3 where they've been losing it. Now, of course, it's not directly a week. You can see the dates here. I'm just formulating it that way so you can kind of get another perspective. 75% days of loss for the last month, basically. So yeah, you don't want to see that. You want to see green. You want to see growth. Video views increasing and subscribers increasing. They're getting views, but they're losing subscribers. Why would people want to watch their content but unsubscribe unless they didn't like what they were seeing or there were other underlying issues that they had with the company at hand? Perhaps that's it. I don't really know. We can't go and ask all these thousands of people why they decided to unsubscribe from Rooster Teeth, but what we can do is make a reasonable assumption based on the data at hand. And if you've been following my channel, you know that there's been a lot of bad news for Rooster Teeth, as we briefly recapped in the beginning of this video. And that's why I keep covering it. Every time I think I'm done covering the Rooster Teeth bad news in the last week or so, there's another update. Like this one, for example. I overlooked the Social Blade. I overlooked Rooster Teeth's YouTube channel. For some reason, didn't cross my mind to take a look. Turns out I should have because, well, that's the result that we have. Now, unfortunately, we can't get more historical data than that, besides what they have down here. But this isn't as telling. It's a lot more difficult to look at the data here. So it's hard to make much off of these graphs down here. They're just such basic graphs. They're really not that telling. But this is telling enough. The past month, basically, Rooster Teeth is losing hundreds of subscribers a day, totaling, let's see down here, the last 30 days they have lost 4,359 subscribers. Now, when you factor in the total amount of subscribers that they have on their YouTube channel, which is close to 6 million, of course it's a small figure. But the point is, Rooster Teeth should look at this data and realized that things are not working. And it's not just the loss of subscribers. It's all the backlash with the increase of pricing. It's the crunch time backlash. It's the subscribers that are unsubbing, the first members who are unsubbing, and just the general criticism that they're receiving. Rooster Teeth, criticism is something you should value, not something you should look at and get all offended about, which is what I'm seeing from some of the people that are associated with Rooster Teeth. Notice my wording. I'm not saying employees, I'm saying associated with. For example, a certain admin on your forums is going off, and that's going to be the next topic I cover. This admin is going off, and I don't want to spoil it, it's just crazy, basically telling people how they should be financing their budget. You have someone representing your company who is telling people that they are bad with their finances. How unprofessional and disrespectful is that? And it gets a lot worse than that, but that's a whole other video topic that I'll be probably covering tomorrow. And Rooster Teeth, we're not just making these videos, we're not just talking about you guys because we don't like you guys. Sure, some people might not like you guys, but that's not the case for all of us. A lot of us have liked your company, and we're just sad to see the direction it's going, and we hope that you look at this information and you make positive changes with it. Because what are we going to do? I'm not employed by you guys. I'm not going to make the changes. All I can do is show you what the consumers are talking about, make a video about it. Maybe Rooster Teeth listens, maybe they don't. But I'm collecting the data, I'm presenting it in a video, and there you go. Now let's circle back to the social blade and the graphs down below. While I do make fun of them for being very rudimentary, there's still, even as simple as these graphs are, there is still a little bit of information that we can collect from them in terms of when Rooster Teeth started to lose their subscribers on their YouTube channel. Well, let's take a look. You can see September, they lost 4,000 for some reason, but then they were gaining 26,000 there, 9,000 there, 3,900, 6,800, and then they lost. In February, they lost 3,700 subscribers in February, right around the Vic Mignogna news. Then the next month, they gained 3,300, and then the next month, they gained 14,000. So after February, for 2 months, they were starting to look like they were back on track to turn things around. And then it all started to go downhill. The next month, they lose 10,000. The next month, they lose 4,000. And now they've lost 4,500 for July, it looks like. So the takeaway from that is that these people are not just unsubscribing because of the crunch time allegations. They're not just unsubscribing because of the first membership price increasing, because that's fairly recent news. It seems like it's cumulative of all of the bad news throughout 2019. And that's not really a surprising thing to say, oh, people don't like the bad news that's coming out. We know that. We've been talking about that for a while now. So what can Rooster Teeth really do when they have a year, 2019, that is just full of what seems to be bad news for them? I don't know exactly. They're supposed to be the professionals, right? But here's just an idea. What if they actually, I don't know, acknowledge the issues at hand? For example, when the crunch time allegations came out, they kind of acknowledged it, but they kind of beat around the bush and then had Gray step down, and then they kind of didn't really talk about it again. And that's only one of the many issues that are currently ongoing. What if they actually acknowledge the issues? They acknowledge that people are unhappy with the increase of first membership, for example. And I'm not saying acknowledge like that admin is. The admin I referenced earlier, that person acknowledges that people are unhappy. But what is he doing instead of trying to remedy them and trying to remedy these issues? Which, by the way, again, you guys are the professionals. But for some reason, I have some knowledge of how to run a business. Weird. And with that knowledge, I'm informed that when a company makes a mistake, sometimes that is the greatest opportunity that they have. Because if they handle the mistake properly and they satisfy customers and their complaints, they're going to get a lot of loyalty. Because the customers are going to be unhappy and they're going to see that the company takes serious steps in trying to make them happy from that point on. And they will see that the company listens to them. It cares about them and it tries to make things right. And those people will most likely become loyal customers now. So Rooster Teeth, with all this bad news, in my very humble opinion, because I'm not the professional here, you guys are, I would recommend maybe considering acknowledging the criticism at hand and making serious steps towards listening to what your consumers are telling you and making honest attempts at bettering those issues, and at least listening to the criticism and not fighting back and pushing against it. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Some random dude here making a video about the bad news that seems to be perpetually cycled in 2019 surrounding RT. What do I know, though? What do I know? I've also, been a fan of Rooster Teeth myself, I'll admit. And while some people that watch my content were never fans of RT and don't like RT and never did, I totally respect their opinion, and that's totally fine by me. I have no issue with that. I respect their opinion. But I used to be a fan of Rooster Teeth. I used to like the company. I used to like some of the work that they were doing. Now, while I never really delved too much into RT, I was pretty much only watching RWBY. I thought they were cool, and I liked what they were doing with RWBY, and it's just sad to see them go down this route. And guess what? I don't think I'm the only one. I've talked to a lot of people who feel the same way, and clearly, you can also look at the data. See the social blade. Now, while we don't have the data of Rooster Teeth because they're not a public company, we can make reasonable assumptions based off the data that we do have, which we've talked about already. You see all these complaints in 2019 RT, and what are you doing? What are you doing? You see all these complaints. You have VAs telling people to not watch the shows if they don't like it, paraphrased more or less. You have admins telling people that they're bad with their finances because they don't want to pay extra. So what are you guys going to do about all that? Are you going to do anything about it? Or are you just going to sit back and raise the prices and see where the chips fall? Who knows? I have no idea, but I'll do my best to report on the situations as they unfold. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure you are subscribed and have notifications on as well, because subscribing alone isn't good enough nowadays, apparently. And now, of course, I have some shout-outs for the wonderful, marvelous, amazing people who were so kind to promote my last video over on Twitter. And if it was promoted elsewhere, I do appreciate that as well. My system only tells me where it's not promoted at all anymore. It still doesn't work. But on Twitter, I at least have a new system. When you promote it at my Twitter account, @_hero_hey_, and I'll be able to do it that way. But if I do miss you, let me know, because then that means my new system doesn't work either. So, struggles. But hey, at least I'm telling you my problems and trying to fix them, right? At least I'm acknowledging that. So shouts out to Michael Rule, Blasian Domo, Super Saiyan Tai, Random Fandom, Sun Pan, Sonic Speed, Lone Wolf McHugh, Anime Tony, and Runin Usagi. Thank you all very much for your kindness in supporting the content. I truly hope you also enjoyed this video, and I'll be seeing all you guys next time.